Hello everybody, my name is Kelvin. I'm with Ember's Edge. Just finished snowing here up in the Northeast. I thought it was such a beautiful scene out here that I'd go out, take a walk, and make my first video. Now, I've been making videos now for 3 or 4 months, and every time I make one I watch it and I'm like, nobody's going to want to know what I've got to say. They aren't going to want to hear what I've got to say. But I have to believe that there's a lot of people out there that's probably going through the exact same things that I am, and I'm going through the same things they are. And I've had a lot of help along the way. I'm a 26-year veteran police officer, and I'm a retired Afghanistan veteran, retired from the United States Army Reserves a month ago. And a lot of things that we deal with on a daily basis is that looking back and that regret for certain things. I've got an old friend that told me once that if you plant a oak tree seed or an acorn in a small pot, water it, fertilize it, take care of it, it's not going to grow. It's just not, because it's in such a confined space that it'll never reach its full potential. And I think regret's a lot like that. A regret keeps us in that confined space because we keep going back to it. Y'all ever had a pet that needed to have some surgery and they put that cone around its neck? That's a pretty good analogy, because they do that to keep it from going back to the problem over and over again, because if it does, it'll never heal. I think we put ourselves in that loop. And I think we put ourselves in that loop because it's comfortable to feel guilty or to feel regret. And the only way to get out of that loop, for some, is to drink it away. Only problem is, the next morning it's right back where you started. Now you got a headache, you got less money in the bank. For some, it's finding a hobby. We're in my wood yard right now. I love to cut wood. Keeps me focused on something else other than work and, paying bills, that sort of thing. But the problem is, no matter what hobby you find, no matter what vice you use to try to help you forget, it's not going to go away until you put it away. Whether it's forgiving yourself, which is the first step. You've got to forgive yourself for that mistake you made, for that thing you said, for whatever it was, whether you were by omission or commission. You got to forgive yourself before you can move on. Forgiving yourself gives you the freedom to forgive others. And once you get that freedom, then you need to build on it. Like I said, I've made a bunch of videos for this YouTube channel. I had this YouTube channel made up a year ago, and I just haven't done anything because I didn't feel like anybody would want to hear what I've got to say. But if even one person out there hears it, then they'll know what I'm talking about. And maybe, just maybe, I can help that one person. I've got a great family, beautiful wife. A dog is running around out here somewhere, having a good old time. I've got so much just in those things to live for, to work for, to protect, that I'm found myself having to forgive myself for my past, for things that I'd done wrong, for things that I couldn't change. that I tried to and I couldn't. And now we're at a crossroad. I can either use what I went through to help other people, maybe to say one thing that'll, I don't know, pick them up, give them a different perspective. Man's only as good as he is inside. If you carry hate in your heart, it's not going to help you. If you carry vengeance in your heart, it's not going to help you. If you carry regret, if you carry those things, they're just going to weigh you down. Why not instead carry those things that pick you up? It may be a pet, maybe a friend, maybe your spouse, your kids, grandkids even. Sometimes in life it's easier to carry the regret and just wallow in it. But if we don't give in to that temptation, if we forgive ourselves, we take off those weights that we've been carrying, we can realize new potential. We can see a path forward that doesn't include waking up every day and staring out the window at nothing in particular and going over those same regrets. I've been there. I've been there. And I've watched an inanimate object until my wife says, "What are you thinking about?" And I don't want to tell her that I'm thinking about my past or things that I've regretted or a burden I carry that I don't have to carry. And I find it's getting easier as I go through this process and as I start focusing on the things that are important, the things that bring me peace. There's a saying, what you focus on increases. And I believe that with all my heart. Because for the last few years, all I've focused on is things that I couldn't really control. And speaking of control, it's an illusion. All you can control is how you respond to something. There is no control in this life. So, if you think about it, your response to stress, your response to a test, let's call it a test. Life throws tests at us all the time. A mailbox full of bills stamped past due. Kid getting sick. Wife getting sick. You getting sick. Those things come at us from all sides. I like what Mark Lowry said. He said, life is a series of hilltops and valleys. You know, we go from, successes and things going great to something breaking. And then going back up that hill again, trying to get back into sync with things are going great again. And I think I see that in everybody. I don't care who you are. You could be rich, you could be broke, you could be middle income. We're going to have those tests come along, and people are going to go through them. How you go through them is basically dependent upon your state of mind and what you focus on as you're going through them. Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scholar, I'm not the smartest man in any room. I just know from experience, 57 years, that how you respond shows a lot about you, and it shows a lot about where your mindset is. I just love the snow out here. Everything's so quiet, peaceful. Where do you find your peace? Where do you find your peace? I saw a YouTube video the other day. The guy said, the guy was asked a question. He says, "What's your happy place?" And the guy says, "I don't have a happy place." He said, "I have happiness when I'm around the people that I love. And wherever that may be is my happy place." And that's profound. It really is. But when you're alone with your thoughts, how do you find that peace? How do you find that happiness? Well, I'll tell you this. What's always worked for me is to focus on what I'm doing to better my life, to better the quality of life for my wife and my kids, and to, I don't know, I hate the word legacy, but to build my legacy. What am I leaving, my kids? And that's important to me because I want to make sure that the number one thing I left them was manners, the ability to care, kindness. I'll ingrain that into them. And I think I've done a good job of that. I'm very proud of my kids, the way they've turned out. I get compliments all the time about how well mannered they are. But I also think about how I can continue forward, how I can help others continue forward. Helping others is it's an amazing feeling when you, without thought of return, whether it be monetary or trade or whatever, reach out and say, "Let me help you with this. Let me do this for you." Old joke about a man walking down the street, falls into a big hole. Doctor walks by and says, up to the doctor, he says, "Hey, can you help me out of this hole?" And the doctor says, "Here, let me write you a prescription." So he writes him a prescription, and throws it down the hole to the guy. Oops, almost fell down. Then a priest comes by and he says, "Father, can you help me, please? I'm stuck in this hole." And the priest says, "I'll write a prayer for you and send it down." So he does. And then finally, one of his friends comes by and he says, "Hey, friend, I'm stuck in this hole. Can you help me?" And the friend just jumps down in the hole. And he goes, "What are you doing? Now we're both stuck down here." The friend looks at him, smiles, claps him on the shoulder, and says, "It's okay, buddy. I've been here before. I know the way out." I think the strongest emotion that we carry with us at any given time is the one that guides our actions. Loving, caring, bitter, angry. Find that place where you find your peace, find your goals, find your motivation. Forgive yourself. Put it behind you. And then decide, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set this small goal, not lofty goals, not become a billionaire, but just small goals. I call small steps moving forward. What are those small steps that lead to the bigger step you want? You want to have a nice savings account. You start with $20 a week if you can afford it. If you can't, you start with 10. And you remain faithful to that. Keeping in mind that it's going to grow if you let it. And if you let yourself grow, you'll grow too. Now, I was going to talk a lot about moral injury, which I will talk about in later videos. The struggle, the day-to-day struggle to keep that forgiveness in your heart for yourself and for others. So we're going to go through a few things. I might even demonstrate a couple of chippers, chainsaws, and tractors for you. Well, if you found this video and it's helped you in any way at all, well, I appreciate the fact that you've watched it. And I will see you again real soon. We're going to talk about emotional injury with my dog running around. Love you guys.